Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about what I hate about the zodiac sign Libra, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I hate about the zodiac sign Libra is that they could be tremendously indecisive and ambivalent. And it's not in the same way that Pisces is indecisive, I think, for other reasons, because they're just often generally confused, I believe, and many others will concur that Pisces is really like the amalgamation of the 11 other zodiac signs, and that's a lot of it has to do with that, and they have a lot of confusion going on. And with Libra, it's just general. It's better. They're indecisive, ambivalent, often because they're weighing the pros and cons of a situation. And what happens is they're so busy trying to make this decision, often they could squander opportunities because of that, whether it might be a job, a career, or even a relationship. And anyway, well, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Libra is the fact they could be very superficial. I think this sign can often be dominated by the person's appearance and their looks, and they're not as strongly about substance as other signs may be. And thing is, I mean, Libra may often focus on that outer attractiveness of a person, and that's really often what they could be looking for, I think. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of Libras that are very deep and they do look at the inside of others, but I think on average this sign really is so concerned so strongly about the outer appearance as opposed to other signs on average. Well, anyway, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Libra is that they can often have tremendous difficulty in taking sides in a situation. If you have two, say if a Libra has two mutual friends that are going at it and they're in a feud, and often they'll just sit on the sidelines, figuratively speaking, of course, and they don't want to get involved. They don't want to make waves or cause a problem with one of those two mutual friends. They just will often just let them hash it out themselves and continue the dispute. Now, a lot of times, though, Libras can be the quintessential mediators of the zodiac, and they often are about negotiation and trying to resolve the situation. But as far as taking sides, it may be another story. But I see it. What bothers me about this, because sometimes a person needs to be told when they're wrong. Like, in other words, if the Libra sees two mutual friends arguing, for example, or they're in some conflict, and if they know that one person is really more the instigator, or one person is more in the wrong than the other, sometimes that person needs to be told that and understand that. And Libras a lot of times are just so worried about making waves and whatever, and that's another thing I don't like, really hate, intensely dislike about this zodiac sign. Now, another thing too about Libra that I hate is the fact that they often, I think, many cases will charm to get what they want. They may try to charm their way out of a situation and use this as a form of manipulation, I think, at times. Now, in many cases, though, Libras are just naturally charming. It's often part of their natural disposition and demeanor, but they, at the same time, I think they sometimes use that. I mean, they use that charm to try to get what they want from somebody. And I think that, that's another thing that I really hate about the zodiac sign. Now, another thing I hate about Libra is the fact that in some cases, especially if you have Libra energy, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant strongly afflicted, you could have like this person that really could sue somebody just for virtually anything, like somebody that can compulsively sue others. And because, Libra is the sign associated with legalities, litigation, the law, and really sometimes they will, they feel confident if they could sue somebody, even if it's something over rather something trite or insignificant. They feel confident that they could be victorious. Many Librans are really knowledgeable, and their knowledge can be very profuse about the law, even if they're not attorneys, and they feel confident. I understand that. But I mean, you don't have to necessarily sue somebody, for example, over an erroneous astrology chart or what have you. I mean, there are other ways to resolving things, and I don't even know if you actually can sue somebody for something like that. I mean, there are certain things that you may not be able to sue others for, but Libras will still even try to find ways to do that, even suing, attempting to sue somebody about something that really you can't even, it's not something you could sue somebody over. Well, anyway, another thing I hate about the zodiac sign Libras, they could be a relationship disruptor. If Libra energy is afflicted, especially strongly afflicted, I mean, Libras can have the ability to cause problems in other people's relationships. This is the sign associated with relationships. Now, in many cases, Libras are about accumulating relationships, having good ones, having pleasant and peaceful relationships with others. But in some cases, you could find that troublemaking Libra, they could do something where they could cause problems for other people in relationships. Maybe tell a lot by lying, saying, well, this person said such and such about you, telling the other person, telling someone else, well, he or she said this about you, and get the two people going at it. And as an example, and I mean, they're not like manipulative like as much as say Scorpio on average, but because Libra is associated with relationships on the negative side, they can cause complications for others and cause relationships with others to be problematic if they so desire, and they could be very adept at this. Now, another thing I hate about Libra is the fact that they can often ingratiate themselves into groups and in order to perhaps for ulterior motives such as improving their social status or their stature in life, trying to hook up with the right people that can put them maybe in a higher position in their career, for example. And this is what Libra energy can do, especially if it's very afflicted. And that is just one of the things that I really hate about this zodiac sign. And they use that charm and their great sociability to their advantage, and they could really capitalize on that in that example, as far as ingratiating themselves into group situations, which could help them advance themselves in life. Now, another thing that I hate about the zodiac sign Libra is that, okay, they could be exceptionally flirtatious, not just about being flirtatious, but I think Libras can even be like that, even if they're in some kind of committed relationship, and they don't realize, they don't take into consideration often how their significant other is going to feel about this, that it might make that person a little bit angry if he or she finds out about that. I mean, if you're really, if you're in love with somebody, and I mean, this is just my own belief on things, if you're really in love with someone, enamored with that significant other, what have you, and you start flirting with other people, I mean, are you really in love with that person? I mean, if you're in a committed relationship, there's certain things that are just not appropriate and you don't do. And I think, that the flirtations are not a good thing. So that's something else I hate about this zodiac sign. Now, another thing I hate about this zodiac sign too is that sometimes they may use their need for that balance, so to speak, for maybe taking the law into their own hands in very extreme situations. I think Libra, if in a very negative manifestation, could resort to some vigilantism, so to speak, or really just doing something where if they feel that justice hasn't been served, well, they might, it could just, I'm not saying anything necessarily heinous, but even if it's something like vandalizing somebody or property, or doing something to somebody where they didn't think they were punished by the law appropriately, somebody that did something to them, say, and they think that they basically got off scot-free, well, maybe their justice might be, well, you know what, I need to do something myself then, so to this person, if the law couldn't take care of it. So anyway, but and last but not least, another thing I hate about this zodiac sign is I think Libra is perhaps more than the other 11 zodiac signs may feel that they could get by with their looks at times. And I mean, Libra, I think, is undoubtedly, I think it's the most attractive of the zodiac signs. And I think some of the, I mean, many of them are aware, of course, that they are very attractive. And I think sometimes they use this to their advantage to try to get their way, whether it's up the corporate ladder or what have you. And I mean, as opposed to actual credentials in many cases. So those are the things that I hate about the zodiac sign Libra. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for what I hate about Libra. Stay tuned next time, where I will be talking about the July 9th, 2017 full moon in Capricorn. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.